Sherwood Brock,
Here.
Mr. St. John,
Here.
Chairman Magnuson.
Here. Everybody get a chance to look at the February board minutes?
Move that be approved as printed. I second.
Motion by Bob, second by
Mr. Long,
Aye.
Mr. Mueller,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Sherwood Brock,
Yes.
Mr. St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Chairman Magnuson.
yes. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. Does anybody have any comments, or this is the portion we have for public comments? No? Okay, Mark, are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry, Sheriff.
No, Mark can go first.
You all right? Okay, I just noticed that. Are you okay with Mark going first?
I'm fine, I don't know why they switched this around.
Yeah, they switched it up a little bit.
Try to keep you on your toes.
Okay.
I think I've already handed out the copy of this month's report. Everybody should have that. On the Bradford Road project is progressing. The draft plans were approved by IDOT, and now the design consultant has moved on to preparing the final plans. So they're underway, and kind of just progressing with work as they need to. The letting date for that is June 14th. Similarly with the Diagonal Bridge rehab, the design consultant has prepared a right-of-way plat in that corner there where we're going to be doing the wing wall work and also some discharge dissipation, energy dissipation. We're going to take some right-of-way. So, consultant prepared that plat and is working on a draft plan for specs. It's also June. Letting date. The pavement preservation project, that one I had prepared the final plans and specs, and those were approved by IDOT. And we just, the chairman just signed the joint agreement with IDOT to expend those federal dollars. So we should be good to go, and that is, the letting date for that is April 26th. And construction then should be completed in July this year. On the technical side, I'm working on finalizing the motor fuel test expenditure estimates for 2013 and closing out 2012. We've got to close out 2012 done, and I've got the estimates are in draft form, so now I just need to get those back to the road commissioners for their signature, and then some more by I've also been doing the 2013 maintenance plan for the county. They're going to do the things that we always do, ditch work, some shoulder work, having installed some drain tile, all the things that we do as part of our normal tasks. We're trying to get that planned out. When we can do that work, what order we can do that. That's a function of weather and also access to the ditch work. Being able to roll that dirt back out into the field if the farmers will allow us to do that. I'm also in the process of preparing the bid packages for the stockpiling of materials, culverts, and seal coating for this year. These are again something that we do every year. It's something it puts our materials costs out there for all the different vendors to bid on each year, and that we use that money then for that year for those materials that we need. Item 4 there is preparing a request for the quotes for salt shed demolition at Population a little bit. That's been one of those things that we need to get done, and it's just been one of those things that I hadn't got to. There was last fall when I wanted to do it, I talked to a couple contractors and they were tied up.
Are we gonna run any difficulty with any contamination or anything, do you think, or has that been checked for?
Yeah, we've already checked, the shingles, there's a potential during demolition, you have to, supposed to check for, potential asbestos in roof shingles. We've had those tested and they're negative, so it's just now a matter of, get them knocked down. There is some, obviously, salt contamination.
Yeah,
But we'll be, it's pretty much tied up in the soil. We won't be able to grow there. We're gonna be overlaying or filling that in once we get it knocked down. We'll be filling that whole area in as part of our site grading. If you've been by the highway department, we've got a big puddle out in the middle of the parking lot and stuff, so we need to do some site grading and get things all put back together and improve our drainage. Once we get the salt shed knocked down, that'll actually help us do all that, because we'll be able to fill up the hot that currently is. In April, I mentioned this last week, or last month, sorry, the Executive Leadership Development Program of the Illinois Association of County Engineers. That first meeting was in April, so I'll be going to that. April 23rd. I'm sure the date, but I'll be doing that. On the maintenance side, it is March.
Yeah.
Cloud and snow. Luckily, we finished a little bit, we just had tonight, it's already melted, so that's a good thing. That was, it was a tough couple of days, a couple rounds of a couple of days where the snow just kept coming. The worst part about it was the wind. Took your chance, yeah. The snow wasn't so bad when it came, but it was the wind blowing that really caused us trouble, so. But the guys back there did a fantastic job of getting it cleared off. We did have an accident out on Valley. Again, I think that was, talked to the sheriff about it, but roads were bad before we could get to them. And just, we gotta remember to drive according to what the conditions were a while, so. In addition to the snow plowing, it seems like before we got the snow, the guys were actually out doing the tree cutting, right away, making sure we don't have any hazards in the right away. As a function, of course, of snow plowing, we've had a few minor truck repairs. Some things in the grader, minor stuff, but nothing that the guys haven't been able to handle fixing themselves. So I think they did a good job of doing their own repairs. Very good at maintaining the equipment. We've got some good mechanic on staff. They did a great job of taking care of it. And then along with the snow plowing, and we also have some roadside damage and a couple of mailboxes that we had to go back and repair. So. The last item on the sheet there is the spring meeting for the Illinois Association of County Engineers coming up in May. We're attending that down in Effingham. That's kind of where we are. Any questions?
Okay, do you have any questions for him on the bill?
no, I was hoping those, the salt maybe wouldn't come on there, but we didn't have a choice there at the end. Well,
Yeah.
about middle of January, or year by last month, like, man, we've got it made here, we're in good shape for next year even, so.
We're actually under contract out too.
Yeah.
Buy salt.
Oh, I know, so we had to,
Yeah, there's more salt that'll still have to buy.
yeah.
The item 3, preparing bid packages for the stockpiling of, culverts and seal culverts. When do you do that yearly? What's the time frame on
Usually in the springtime.
that? Okay, so sometime,
Yeah.
and the products are delivered during this summer?
Well, it's usually something that we put out for bid now, and we've got it stipulated in the contract, that is actually a proposal contract, that it's on request. So then we don't have to get a big stock of
Okay.
materials. So we'll usually stockpile some rock just because we need to have it on hand. But culverts, that's something we usually order some of the smaller ones just to have on hand. but any of the larger ones, these are project specific, so we usually until close to meeting those before we place that order. And then when we do place an order, we try to do that in conjunction with the other culverts that we might need, and we also allow townships to place an order with us so that they can benefit from our, hopefully it's a price reduction for us.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mark?
The 18 miles of seal coating, is that one road or is it patches everywhere?
That is about 4 different roads. We'll be doing Sharkey Highway from 91 to 78. Or no, yeah, 70, yes, to 78. And Osceola Road from the state highway there in town, west to, it's 1600 east. So that's
I just wondered,
yeah, no, it's kind of scattered across the county.
All right, thanks, Mark. Anyone have anything? Okay, all right. You're up. Would you want to do it during the committee time? We'll do it during our committee time. Yeah, let's do it here. I'm gonna call it in. But we'll do committees.
The AED, I'll continue that till next month, because I didn't have time to get all the information that I really want before I go in to try and explain the external capabilities. But I have a couple other things here. Next month, my car expense line item is gonna jump because the rear end went out of the Durango, and it cost $2,600 to have it fixed. So that's gonna be a little more expensive. Next thing I have is, I'm sure you all know that Bob Taylor retired. 1st of March he's through. I guess my question is to the board is what do you want me to do with the budget constraints the way they are about replacing them? It's my present budget now in labor. If nothing else happens, if we stay on an even keel from now to the end of the year, I'll be $3,800 over my budget for labor. And after, if I put on another deputy, we'll probably be 32,000 over minimum. So I guess my question to the board is, where do you want me to do it?
Do you feel like, I mean, what are your needs? I mean, can you get along
Well,
without it?
You're asking me if we can get along without, I'd say no. But right now, there's 4 of us, full-time, and there's 4 part-time. But the part-time, one of them only works 1 shift a week, the other one only works 2 shifts a week. We'll get along fine unless Toulon and Bradford starts pulling, and which they are, the same stuff that they did last year, to where they're not gonna have anybody on. I don't know what the,
They're starting to do that again?
well, they always have. That's why some nights I try and have 2 deputies. Because to me, it's not safe and you can't keep up with just having 1 deputy on in the county on a night when nobody's on for the city of Toulon or Bradford. But that I have no control over. And whether things will change after the election for Toulon, I don't know. But I don't want to replace him, and I'm thinking that we're going to stay on an even keel for the budget, because we won't.
I guess my question would be, or do you know about how many have Toulon and or Bradford ever given you any type of a schedule that they actually have people on? Are they letting you know?
They won't. Toulon here recently, Mayor Collins has tried to give me a schedule when he can. We're still covering 75% of all the calls in Toulon. We're covering 80% of all the calls in Bradford. The Bradford mayor won't give me a schedule.
This is an ongoing
replace Bob?
Taylor?
No,
No, that's what
he's
I
asking.
I bet that.
Not yet.
I'm still using Bob Taylor, on a part-time basis, like I sent him this morning with the prisoner at prison, for stuff like that. But, as far as a full-time employee, no, I haven't replaced him.
I guess the question, then the next question would be, if we say no, or you don't replace Bob, what is overtime going to do with
Well,
this?
that, I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that's,
See, the overtime, last month ran, well, the year so far in overtime is $6,000. So, but I have no way, I have absolutely no way of knowing.
That through February?
That is through
If the two towns would staff
8th
their,
of March.
the two towns would staff their police department, you'd get all of them.
See, years ago, it always was, when I was working nights, every one of the towns, Toulon, Bradford, and Wyoming, had somebody on.
Mhm.
And we always backed each other up.
Right.
If I went on a call, if they went on a call, I always headed towards Bradford, Toulon, or Wyoming. Now you haven't got that.
Because, you know.
Most of the time, there's nobody on in
and they're
Toulon.
just back in the county.
Yeah, or if they are on, they're on the time, and as far as I'm concerned, they don't need to be on. That's not my call.
Mhm.
So, and the only one that's really helpful is Sloan in Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming
Tries
does a
to-
good job.
yeah,
They staff
yeah,
up
I have absolutely no problems with Wyoming.
Mhm.
But, and there's, now, do we have to take the calls? Do we have to answer them? No. I checked that out with the Sheriff's Association, and the Sheriff's Association,
Within the town,
It's
you don't have
attorneys.
to answer the call.
I'm not obligated at all to answer any calls in any of the towns, anywhere. But the only thing they said was, Sheriff, you might not get reelected. I said, well, I might not run.
I really don't care.
sure, could we,
That's a smart aleck. right there.
Yeah,
I know, but you get that way after a while.
I'm sure that the reality of it is, if there was a deputy in each township, each shift, they're still not gonna
You
be
still
aware
don't have
there's
that.
something
No.
wrong going on, and
Right.
so, maybe we could get by with another 1 or 2 reduction, and how do we know whether
Well,
it's
that's-
adequate or not?
That's why I brought it, to the board. Myself, from a standpoint as sheriff and manager, don't want to make that decision to come to force with you right now.
I think you're doing a good job balancing that budget on it, and so I'd like to say, let's try and even wean it a little more, and maybe as the year progresses, why you'll get closer to budget instead of farther away. That's what we need to, everything that you know, that it is, you're the one that helps work with the budget, the annual budget. And so we need to do everything that we can that's practical, and in this
Well, I
case,
realize that, I just want the board's, thoughts of what,
I'm a
the
firm
ones
believer
that's
that
given me
we
the
can't
money
cover
to spend.
everybody's house.
So percentage-wise, if you have a full-time, you hire a full-time compared to, say, replacing with a part-time, what are the differences in the budget?
that's what I'm using now, is part-time. The part-time will naturally be cheaper because the hourly rate's cheaper. How else, there's not gonna be as many arrests with part-time. So naturally, the cost is gonna be
I have
lower.
a question and
No,
a
go ahead.
suggestion or
There won't be as many arrests because they're just not as, part-time
Right,
isn't as
not
aggressive.
Aggressive as full-time.
Can the part-time ones, you said not only work like 1 shift and one's working 2 shifts, is it able for them to work more shifts?
These two, no, because they've all got, one of them works EPY and one of them works.
But the other 2
Yeah.
are,
Could they work more than the part-timer? Could you fill them in more? I mean, you're
Could I
still gonna
use
be
these
over
more?
budget though.
Yeah, I can use part-time work when it comes to that. But I
Right.
don't like to, because then I'm defeating my purpose
would it be, I would,
wage-wise.
I would suggest that Tom and, I don't know, we probably would take a special, calling a special, meeting, that we meet, Tom, you're with the sheriff, and Lynn and I with finance, that we meet with the mayors of Toulon and Bradford one more time and say, hey, here's where it is.
Well, if I could make a suggestion, I'd wait till after the election.
Well, yeah, I figured that too. But I think this is, we've talked about this every month, and we said we can't charge them anything, or, we're looking at that. But what if you found out, and we can get the legal opinion that you are not, obligated to go to do anything within a town?
The sheriff's office in the state of Illinois is not obligated to have road deputies on the road.
Yeah, you said that,
The only thing the sheriff's obligated to do is keep open and maintain the county jail.
Well,
And the
but
courts.
we live here, we want.
Yeah, we
Well, I
want
don't-
to, but I just think, you know,
That's-
that's,
Yeah, but I know that law, yeah.
yeah. But I just think following the elections in April, well, we can bring
We
this up
can
next
go.
month and then just see what happens there, but I think.
Maybe it'll be better with.
Well, but
anyway,
still,
July.
but still, we're still gonna have to let them know that this is, we don't have the deep pockets where we can do this, and we'll go by our letter of the law.
That's just me.
Does anybody know, or have they made cuts because they don't have deep pockets, or have they made cuts just?
Well, that's a long story.
I don't
Yeah.
know, to answer your.
A combination, I said one of it is, but the other things, there were some other political, I don't wanna go into that, all that, you know, like if there were political ramifications, especially in Toulon, that was done.
Maybe we could get some cooperation from Toulon. I don't know what the situation is in Bradford. I don't understand that, what he's, I think the mayor is running for reelection too.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna win too.
But, I
Stay
could
out
be advised to
politics.
go to
I
a,
like politics.
yeah, so what are we gonna talk him to at this point?
I think right now, stay with what he's doing.
Status quo.
Status quo.
That's cool. Visit it regularly.
That's all I have, unless there's a question on bills.
I was just saying, nothing, I'll explain more on financial report. One thing you brought up tonight, if you look at the bills this time, and I'll review them when I get to financial committee, a lot of the extra monies from the sheriff's department, sometimes it's for the grounds or, you know, under that, but it's also repairs to squad cars. I know some people complain about when you get the new squad car, well, why does it need it? That's why, you know, these squad cars on the road take a lot of damage, and you've gotta have them fixed.
It used to be, we would get rid and trade off a squad car every year. Had 100,000 miles on it, and that got us solid, probably 80% of all maintenance repairs on it. And now we're running them 2 and 3 years, up to 200,000 miles showing, which means there's actually 300,000 miles on them. Just,
So that, you know, that's, again, when we come up next month, and I get a report, then I get a report on this, that's, you know, and not this time as I go through, I'll wait till my turn, but it's been pretty good, but there's still several on there.
And let's wait till that for the election, I mean, we can
Yeah.
make some progress on those. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next year.
All right.
I'll lose it.
Okay, last time we had talked about that we need a freedom of information, Tom had brought it up, and then I had said that we need a designee for the, we need an open meetings act designee and a freedom of information officer designee. And Linda, I found, if you're looking to do this, I found information that you can feed both of those for us. If you want, you,
Is it high paying?
Oh, yeah, oh,
can I do this
double what we
annually?
paid the last people that were doing this.
It just says each county shall designate one or more officials or employees to act as its freedom of information officer. I think in the past we designated the county clerk as our freedom, is that correct? And the Open Meetings Act designee said, this is from UCCI, Michael McCleary, he texted me back, and he said, further question arose with respect to whether the clerk or the clerk's deputy may be appointed by the county board as a board's designee. Since a clerk or the clerk's deputy may be considered an officer of the county board, has the obligation to attend the board meetings and is responsible for the minutes of the board, preparing agendas, posting notices. The clerk or the clerk's deputy, Val, in our opinion, may be appointed as the county board's designee pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. So really, you just have to do that training every year.
Okay.
The Open Meetings Act, they're right together, aren't they? The
Yeah.
FOA?
Yeah.
Unless anybody else is dying to do this, should we just appoint Linda, our county clerk? Okay. Do I need to have a vote? or-
Madam Chairman,
Yeah.
I'll draft something with the
Okay.
consent of the board that you're
Okay.
appointing Linda and Val as the
Freedom of-
Freedom of Information, and I will also volunteer to serve the state's attorney's office to help.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
And I'll
That'll
draft
cover
this
us
to-
there, okay. And then, Rich, what would I get your, the website?
Yeah, I
Okay.
get your
And
memo.
did you get my memo about the budget too?
Yes,
Okay,
and we're waiting on it to come.
okay. Sounds good.
I need it electronically rather than retyped.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the next item, I'm gonna have this next item, this is the Workforce Investment Act, it's kind of, we've had some situations with this, I'm gonna let Bob give a little background, he's been on board, Rich, you've been on this board too, the workforce?
The workforce, that other,
Yes, I have been on it, but I'm not
Okay.
current.
Well, just to kind of let these guys know what it actually is, and then I'll.
The workforce board is totally federally funded, it doesn't cost us anything. We've had different levels of service here. The basic thing is to work with the unemployed in the four-county area. It has Peoria, Woodford, Marshall, and Stark. And at one time, we were having a person here in Stark County 3.5 days a week. With all the cuts, we're down to about 1 day a week. Also, just like, seems like a lot of things, it was getting very political in Peoria, and the director resigned, or not, retired last spring, and there was talk at that time of forming a new consortium in a different way that had been previously done, that each of the county chairs would actually make up the block of voters. We went along with that.
Kind of explain that the city of Peoria is the administrator.
It's a fiscal agent right now.
Yeah.
And they didn't want it anymore. They were gonna turn over the county, with the 4 county chairs then having some powers. When it came back to us, after we approved it, when the final thing came back, we were asked to attend, Colleen and I, to attend a meeting with some of the previous people, and showing a point in there that said that the Peoria County chair had absolute veto over any action taken by any other county. It was big in there, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Rightfully so, we got a little excited about that, and we said, we're not gonna go for that. Well, other counties, well, then it was found out that that was already in the previous situation, Peoria, just had been lost in the shuffle in there. So Colleen and I attended a meeting in Peoria, ICC, that was called basically by the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, because this is who the monies are funneled through. And they were concerned about some things happening. There was a lot of politics being played. At that meeting, it was totally found out that neither the county, Peoria County, or Peoria City wanted anything to do with this. They were getting, it was becoming so politicized. At that meeting was the president from ICC. He said they would be willing to more or less become the agent for the 4 counties. I asked then, would you include Black Hawk East, since, you know, most of Stark County is with Black Hawk East, says definitely. They have staff, they could delegate staff, that would be a savings of money. That money could be used to help the people, not pay for staff members. They're already involved in training programs. They would work to find out and work better with us to what is really needed in the way of workforce. And then hopefully themselves, Black Hawk, or whatever college, you know, maybe even Spoon River a little bit, depending on how things worked, or Heartland, that there'd be some real cooperation, that these schools would cooperate with the workforce and provide special training, specialized training. So at that point in time, what we're going to be, Colleen explained tonight, was that Peoria, the city of Peoria, would extend for 3 months, is that right?
Yeah, the original.
Original thing for another 3 months, just to keep things going. Hopefully by that time, and then but anyway, it's a good program, it doesn't cost us anything. It's, in the city itself, it's great for the people to get there. In the past, and hopefully by working, maybe down the line, working with ICC and Black Hawk, we'll actually get them to use some of our facilities here. Denny and Rich, well Denny especially, and I, we started with this, we volunteered space at the different schools, whether it be, you know, we would work with them, whether it be Bradford, here at the high school, or the elementary, at that time in the junior high in Wyoming, let them make use of our labs, give them a space where people could come, work with the high school kids and also those unemployed. But it became so much centered in Peoria, really, and
We weren't seeing anything really,
Yeah.
so it can't get any worse, it
No.
wouldn't get better.
and
For-
so hopefully if ICC takes it over, I think there's a real promise there. I don't know if any of you have met the president of ICC, but he's a very dynamic person and is really good.
Dr. John Irwin, and he's really excited about this. When we had that meeting, the lady from the Commerce Department said that this grant works best when it's teamed up with the community college. And there's an example up in IDCC, in what county is that? Old-
Lisa.
LaSalle. That, and it works very well. This grant, ours is 1.9 million for these, it's a federal grant run through the state, and the city of Peoria, like he said, has been the administrator, but they don't wanna do it anymore. But our grant's 1.9 million, and 75% of it's been going for salaries, and that's a little out of whack. They said it should be more like 40%. So, that, and like he said, he's really excited about this, Dr. Irwin. He said he's got the staff in place, and they're excited. So this is, so yeah, like Bob said, they attempted to form this consortium, because the original thing, I think, expired last October.
Yeah,
And it just didn't work out. I mean, there is liability associated with this grant, so Peoria County was saying, if we're gonna have the most liability, we want veto power, which you kind of see where they're coming from. But then, I don't know who come up with ICC, or if they stepped in, or Peoria County thought about it. So what we did an intergovernmental agreement to extend the 2009 agreement for, I don't know how many, until, is there a date in there, or just till we get this? We want to extend it. The City of Peoria agreed to keep administering it, so we can get something worked out with ICC. We're gonna meet after April 5th. The CEOs of the grant are the 4 county chairs. So we just have to pass a resolution tonight from this intergovernmental agreement. Did everybody get these emails?
on page 8 of that, it says here, it says, this continuation of the prior agreement is effective from January 1st, 2013,
Yeah.
till all further action of the parties to
Till,
this
yeah.
agreement. So
So we get something. And they're wanting to move this quickly, get this going.
it was very interesting to see the politics between, because all the blame being placed, but once we sat down at that meeting,
It all-
that basically, that wasn't there, that both the city and the county of Peoria said, no, we're not interested, we're not making anything on this, it's causing us more headaches.
Yeah.
And they're very happy to give it over to a nonpartisan situation. And it,
Well, that's what, good, you kind of finally explained why they didn't want anything to do with it, the city or the county.
yeah, it's just,
Heavily politicized.
Oh, yeah. well, it was really, when this road program worked best is when we had the Human Resources Office here. And if somebody came in to claim unemployment or work for that, they said, well, have you signed up for this? And there was a person, I don't know how many days a week that sat, and they had all the computer programming right here in the Human Resources Office where they could almost force them to go and look for jobs right then, and that-
Well, it's very, when I went down to Peoria for that meeting, I'm like, wow, that's where it all is.
yeah.
It's quite an operation.
Fancy meeting room and the speakers.
We're getting nothing out of here for it, so it's better than nothing. And then our residents, our county, they can, hopefully we'll get it advertised. It's gotta be better than what we're getting now. It's basically nothing from it. So we need to pass a resolution. This intergovernmental plan. Is this it?
All 4 of these signed.
Okay, but we have that.
Diane was amused by the rhetoric that this doesn't cost us anything, that money just appears.
Well,
Well,
but it's coming in, so we, the whole thing is, as long as money comes in, we need our share, we get our share, we don't, we don't.
we're gonna get it whether we like it or
Yeah.
not, so we might as well. That's the way it works, yeah.
And what's the liability that's involved with this?
There
What
is a liability, well, I guess if we didn't do
The
something like,
unemployed are gonna sue you?
maybe they get it,
You
you give them the wrong advice.
I know, but they had their attorneys,
There is
both the city and the
liability.
county had their attorneys there, and that was one of the.
Well, and I saw that in there when I read this
Well,
little
they said that
blurb that they sent that email today.
There's liability to me as the CEO, and
Yeah.
that's why but Dr. Irwin assured me that they had enough insurance that it would never get to me. But is there liability to the CEO?
What can't be sued today, that's,
Because someone gave them the wrong advice, they took the wrong judge, and they had an emotional breakdown. I don't know. I really don't know, but when they said liability to me, but he assured me that they had enough blanket coverage at the college, we would never get to it.
I'd move that we approve the Workforce Investment Act intergovernmental agreement resolution.
I'll second.
Mr. Mueller,
Yes,
Mr. Newton,
I'll abstain.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman Brock,
Yes.
Mr. St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Lone,
Yes.
Chairman Mankson.
Yes. All right, so let's go on to committee reports. Okay, Bob.
okay. Well, I've done this month, trying to get a little bit of a picture here, and next month, I'd like to, I'll explain what I'd like to do with Lynn and I, that we do next month, is, sort of more, say, informational approach
Okay.
to begin with.
You know,
Oh, you got one?
We're sticking
That's
together,
on
Bill.
Andy.
I think I still got two.
Last month I indicated, when working with the bills, and I'm glad Trina's here tonight because I had to go in there yesterday and find out something before I did the bills, but explain to you some of it's a chart of accounts really, and your bills are basically organized and coded according to various offices, departments, or budget details. So what I did just real briefly was, again, print out to you how, what the numbers are given as chart numbers really within the county. There's, as you say, there's 12, 13, highway department separate, 12 accounts in there. And I found one I wasn't sure of later on, there might be a 13th one. But if you look at the bills, and if you look at your bills there, if you look at bill number 1 on your bills, it's Aggie FS, gasoline, the number 68002. The first 3 numbers, I have no idea how that applies, I'm even asking on that one. That gets more down detail-wise. But your last 2 numbers are what you need to look at to see what department that the bill is being paid out of, what budget with that. And it can be, in that case, it's 02, which means that's the amount of money in that time that the sheriff spent for gasoline from Aggie UFS with that. If you look at, then if you look down to Bill 10, that is Mediacom, and it's Internet State's Attorney, and that was a bad bill to look at, I'm sorry. 8, no, which one I'm looking at? I had the wrong one. I'm looking at one, trying to get one together on there. There was one in there that, well, you look at either one. Let's just look at, 16. Autopsy assistant, 75118. Well, 18 is the medical legal part of the budget that was taken from that way. So if you want to look at it, and you can see sometimes they've combined them. So what I've done later on, I'll show you what I did there, is try to split out some bills for you and where there were combinations. Like for some of the telephone bills and things like this, they've just combined one payment, and then I didn't take the time to split to see how much the courthouse is using versus the jail or things like this, but it does with that. But that's how you can look at these, the numbers that follow the purpose, in the column purpose. You look at the last 2 numbers, if there's a number by it, and it'll be the 0, or it could be, like I say, we get down to the 12 supervisor assessment, and 10, 11, 12, and 18. But that you can then go back and refer easier to your budget pages with that. What else I did then this quarter was, since the quarter is really December, January, February, so all the report we got last week, I went back through last month and looked at total fund income. If you look at the big package that Katrina gives us each month, the first page, this is where I'd ask her, made sense as soon as she started talking about it, where it says start, or second page really, Stark County Treasurer General Fund, profit and loss versus actual. That is basically every area that's covered by funds coming in some way or another. And that is a total picture of profit and loss. Pages 3 and 4 then begin with just the general fund. These are monies, as you go through there, that maybe are not shown on individual departments as such as income or expenses, but are paid out of Fund 1. These are all monies then that are the bills, they're coded with that 1, that's not specifically attached to any departmental budget. It's considered as something that would be, in the income, that we get the income, then there's splits later on where that's done. But right now, that's just general money. Then you go back and start with the sheriff, state's attorney, so on. So what I've done at the bottom, and maybe next month, we'll maybe look at 2 or 3, again, probably funds 1, 2, and 7. Because those are the areas we're not picking on them, but that's the areas where sometimes it seems a large number of bills comes, depending. But totally, we've already received, of those that we budget for in some way or another, 34% of our income for this fiscal year. 21% overall, or almost 22 that we paid out in expenses. So overall, you know, we're okay. The bottom line still shows okay within budget figures. As Jimmy pointed out tonight, there are gonna be areas over and under and things like this. Especially with them, it could be with salaries, it could be with, the cars and prisoners. Like this time, we only have 2 days of, well, that person that was still housed for 2 days over in, the juvenile detention home in Galesburg. And right now, we're, with some of the court cases that have been decided, we're not filled up at the county jail. So we're gonna be, you know, there's gonna be some variance there. In general, we received 31% of monies that we budgeted on that, really on that first, on page where it says, 01 general, which is actually page 3 of that big packet. And we've expended 23.3%. The sheriff, believe it or not, has taken 168% of more than was expected for his separate accounts. And the big one there is, where did I see that? There was well, that was last month. Goes on last month. There was, Sheriff, can you remember you had radio communications or something like that, where you got in a bunch of money on something last month? I can't remember what that was, but it showed a large
Well, isn't that what you collect from the cities for doing your dispatching?
All that was a yearly dispatch fee.
Okay, yearly dispatch fees. That really brought in more, well, we raised it, so I brought in more. And he spent 20.1, so even with everything he's done through the last quarter, he's still within. But like he's pointed out, and he keeps a good eye on that, it's not gonna continue that way. So you look through that, state's attorney, 25 and 17.5%. Circuit clerk shows no income directly. We sort of get a figure at the end of the year on that. It doesn't show so much on this, it comes through general more so. Zoning received nothing there. But anyway, if you look, income that's based on 25% of our fiscal year. And you can see how that, and the highway department is totally separate from that, and you get the bills there. It's just an idea what to give you. On the second, another page just to give you, and this is not all correct. I probably shouldn't even be giving it to you as such. What I try to do, and not complaining to Linda or anything, but you get the bills on Monday, and you try to sit down and do this, and some other things came up as you usually do. I tried to show the number of bills you go through that. If you look at yourself that were given tonight, how many went through the sheriff's department, and the total number on the back. Now, according to Val, and Val never lies, there's like $23,000 to $24,000 total bills. Well, when I did it, like I say, when you try and do it in a rush, it doesn't work out. I came up with like 21,000. So, a couple $1,000s, what the heck on that. But anyway, these are the main bills that were assigned to each of them. And what I did down at the bottom, on some of those, the mixture. This is where there were some bills that were split among several departments, and which I didn't know how they were individually, but it's only $307, so it wasn't that bad. And most of those were like, maybe that's where I missed it, like on Ameren and Frontier and things such as this, or like that, where it was split out. But to give you an idea, you can see again, and now realize with the sheriff, it's just not the jail and his deputies, it's also care of some bills that come out, care of the grounds and things such as this. But you can go through in a snapshot then, if you want to, and see where those are, and see that. The large bill this month actually came out of 7, or the county clerk, and that is bill, look here, 45? 45, which is the audit service through 11/30/12, which was $6,000. And I think that's the final billing. Sunshine Village, as small as we are out there, what we do, it costs us almost $9,000 for audit, so I can't see an auditor doing all of it. And I forget, I didn't look how much we actually had budget for auditing, but that was a final billing, I'm sure, from him for that. If we're getting that for $6,000, we have got one heck of a deal going for us.
That was the completion of all that work.
Yeah, see, because here the budget is $21,625
Yeah.
for audit, which would make sense. That's for the completion of everything did for the last fiscal year.
Yeah, I would think that at the end of this year, that it would be substantially less, because there wouldn't be as much trying to sort things out.
He did a little bit extra.
Yeah, a little bit extra. Most of the time, it's just, again, they are bound by the same, there's what they have to do, not only for us, but right for the state and everything. So you're still gonna get, our budget is 21,000, almost 22,000 for everything, for the audit. So that's what, for doing a total audit for every department and stuff like that, so no, it will not be less.
That's what that runs. Right.
Right,
That's
I
it.
say, for my little thing out there, it's almost $9,000, so
Mhm.
this is what that.
What about that Frontier, what does that get charged to, like the telephone, they didn't have a.
Yeah, sometimes it's split between, let's see,
Then how do they split those up?
Trina or, yeah, Val,
Oh, each department?
It's each department gets their own phone bill, and I just didn't put, I mean, that's everybody.
Oh, okay,
That's the sheriff, and that's circuit clerk, county clerk.
so they each pay for their own telephone expense out of their office?
Right, right.
See, that's
But
why I have a
just-
feeling
you
that's
just
why-
write one big check.
Okay.
If you'll notice, there's a line item on everybody's budget, the
For telephone.
department budgets that follow general back here in your report. Everybody's got a line item for telephone
Yeah.
communications.
so I just tried to pull them together, but rather than separate them that way, there's just not enough time for that. I'll try and maybe split some things up for you next month and try and give you a little more report on that, but
No,
it's,
it just goes to show, you know, a lot of this stuff we don't have any control over. I mean,
outside, really this time, you know, and every month there seems to be something that's gonna happen there. But we're gonna run somewhere between $18,000 and $24,000 on bills a month, I think, not counting payroll. Unless there's something, you know, like here, the audit expense, next month, you know, that could be the biggest one, what Jimmy talked about with the car expense on that. Or in this case, the other thing is that we've got, and it's not major, but one of the bills I just signed tonight that wasn't on here yet is the 1/4 payment to the regional office of education, which is about $3,100. So that'll come, you know, 4 times during the year,
was that the total 12,000?
12,000.
We have to pay that.
But anyway, otherwise, now if you wanna look through, I think the bills are pretty well in line, interesting, it's really, you know, take some time and, again, look through some of the extraneous bills that I think are extraneous in a way, where you go for, number 20, report of proceedings, it's under number one, but what would that be, Linda, or it says general, report of proceedings, bill 20. I assume that's under the
Court
courts,
expense,
court expense, and,
general fund.
yeah. And there's a couple other things on there that, you know, again, we have, you know, 32 and 33 are family health clinics for inmates. It's just,
What about 36, Glacial?
okay, I finally came to my mind. Jimmy, you've got an agreement for electrical power, right?
Right, yeah, I went with Glacial Energy, and it's saving us probably $200 to $300 a month.
The
Okay.
sheriff, the governmental buildings cannot be included in the,
Oh, the
the
good
the
energy.
businesses for good energy.
Mhm.
So Jimmy's gone for the buildings as much as he's, you know, the control there is the, with the Glacial.
But don't get the idea that that's all our power bill is.
Oh, no, I know that, no, but at least it's a start, that's on that.
Which is a different name.
It's that, you know, it's that electric chair that bill that he never shows on there, that's why we're down to 3 prisoners in the prison jail right now. But,
Well, this will be beneficial, Bob, all
Let's
this
see
will
if
be
that
going
makes
for
it
budget
easier.
time.
yeah, I forgot about that. I gotta watch myself, put the other back table.
Hey Colleen, can I add something to
Yeah.
Bob? He mentioned the first letters on the bill. Does somebody have one? Okay,
Yeah.
what do you do? Okay, right here. Where were you looking? Okay, like on number 1, Aggie SFS, it says 6800-02. Well, the 02 refers to the class, refers to the department, like he explained, sheriff and that. The first number is the 6800. You go back to the report I gave you, you'll see
Oh,
there's
okay.
income up top,
Okay.
and then expenses, there's account numbers, that's the account number that
Okay.
it's assigned to. So like that 6800, if you look, it pops up on the second page, gasoline.
That's where like, it's part of the chart of accounts that way, every department will have that same way.
What about when there's 2 numbers, like for the city of 2 on water bill, there's 2 numbers?
There's 2 numbers because one is for the courthouse and one is for the jail.
So you split
So
that?
that's why, yeah.
They
account
count
number.
two
Yeah.
separate meters.
Okay.
Oh,
So
one
you're-
is for the courthouse and 2
Okay.
is for the jail.
Cause I see that on, you know, oh, here's one, yeah, MediaCom.
Yep, and on MediaCom, those are the different departments, that's county clerk, treasurer, and supervisor of assessments, we split the bill.
I just had a question, not about the bill itself, but numbering on that. Number 30, board of review, and that was a 765-17. Was that just a
Um,
no big deal, but I just happened to catch that when I was looking at it.
No. I don't recall offhand because we very rarely use that, but that's one of Debbie's, classifications. It's her board of review salary line
Right.
item. There's not very much money in it.
Okay,
I think it might pop up on her
that's all right.
supervisor of assessments.
Supervisor assessments,
No,
okay.
no, it doesn't. It's one that there's very little money in it. You guys approve it during the budget time.
Right,
Was it one of Debbie's?
Yeah, you know what, it's not showing up. We don't print it because there's so rarely activity in there.
okay.
But you do, it is in the county's budget that you approved in November. That's number 17. But that's a board of review salary.
Well, Bob, I think this will be real helpful for budget time, if you start to see this now, so. Okay, does anybody else have anything else on the bill?
Hey, how about 17 and 18 on here?
Well, Jimmy was running out, you know, he's getting ready to retire,